Welcome to Little City, Big Voices, a podcast where we share the real stories of those who love, empower, and champion children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities and mental health challenges. These are the voices of a community united by compassion, driven by purpose, and deeply committed to creating a world where everyone belongs. I'm your host, Rich Bobby, CEO of Little City. Little City's vision is to provide a place where everyone can feel included in their community, have someone they can call a friend, and continuously learn and build new skills. I'm very excited as we now begin episode 3 of Little City Big Voices to have some amazing guests join us, some longtime friends, contributors, and truly drivers of our mission, Gil and Betty Fergus. Welcome, Gil. Welcome, Betty.
Well, thank you for having us.
I'll give a little backstory about you. Certainly we'll open up for questions. Gil and Betty have a son who lives and receives services with us at Little City, Marty. They've been longtime supporters. You've done just amazing things for our organization. Gil serves on our board of directors, had been on, I think, every single committee that our board has at some point or is actively on. I would say also they are great at spreading the mission of Little City when it comes to our special events, with one of those events being our annual Hero Walk that is up and coming here in the next month. So thank you, Gil. Thank you, Betty, for joining us. Tell us about yourselves. Tell us about your journey.
Well, you want to go?
No, you could
Okay.
start.
Betty and I live in Morton Grove. Betty works for Allstate Insurance. I work for the Illinois Attorney General's office. So we had 3 boys, and our youngest boy, Marty, when he started out, he developed fairly typically until he was about 3 to 4 years old. At that time, he began to show behavioral issues, and he lost what language he had. We had a great difficulty finding any kind of school where he could attend. And went through several different schools. By the time he got to be almost 10 years old, it became like having a tornado in your house. He was injuring himself, he was injuring others. I would have to wrestle with him for about a half hour to try to restrain him. He was a danger to himself and others. And we had a meeting with 3 professionals. We used to work with, a school teacher, a social worker, and I can't remember what kind of therapist it was. They said, this can't go on. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to anybody else. Our search began, and we were so fortunate to find Little City. And it wasn't easy to find Little City.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. There aren't many places who will serve people like Marty. We were given books, go out here, look for a school, look for a place, look in Wisconsin, look in Kansas, look in Boston, all over the country.
Wow.
This Little City's been our salvation, for our home, for the family.
Really a moving story, Gil, for sharing that piece. To backtrack a little bit, when you had shared that Marty had verbal skills and then they were gone, and was that an overnight situation or was it gradual? Do you recall?
No, it wasn't overnight.
No.
It was
Yeah,
gradual.
it was probably
Yeah.
gradual. When we were concerned and we checked with his doctor, why isn't he talking? Well, he had 2 older brothers. So, they were going, oh, he's, they were even saying, don't worry, he's, just delayed or, stop, because they're doing everything for him. Our second child, too, he wasn't talking that much. By time 3 or 4, he was to the races.
Yeah.
He became a debater in high school. So, but, so they're like, don't worry. And we were hesitant to, follow up maybe at 3 years old at first.
And I would say at that point in time, very little was known about autism. You have to advocate for yourselves. Going back to losing the speech, one thing is Marty had severe behavioral issues. He wasn't as heavily medicated, and it seemed that the medicine interferes with his ability to speech. So you have to pick your poisons. Do you want to have what can you live with?
Yeah.
So
So was it Dr. Leventhal that broke the news to you about the official diagnosis, or do you remember that moment
Yeah.
when they said he has autism? Or
What happened was, just like the other two, he went to a Park District preschool when he was 3. And the teacher was the one that basically noticed. He went for a 2-year-old program and it was fine. You know, he was toileting, everything was okay. He was developing fine. But that teacher picked up on it. And she said, why don't you go to the school district and have them tested? They did that before they even entered school. So we did. So she was the psychologist at the school district mentioned that they call it PDD.
pervasive developmental disorder?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And no one wants to break the news saying your son or daughter has autism. So that's how we started down that path with introducing Dr. Bennett Leventhal. Went to him and other professionals.
when we received the diagnosis, I had no trouble accepting
You didn't have any trouble? No?
that diagnosis, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was too apparent.
You knew at that
Right.
point? Yeah. Right. Especially having your other kids and
Right.
seeing how their development was.
Right.
Yeah.
But you would think, I was optimistic saying he's going to get better,
Right.
with therapy and
Of course. Of
right,
course.
right.
You mentioned then he had some significant behavior challenges that really posed a risk to himself, and no fault of his own, of course. Like this is because of his diagnosis.
Right.
And it wasn't because of your parenting style, or you could have done more parenting wise. It was truly because of him having this diagnosis that essentially he was born with. What sort of behaviors was he doing that led to like him potentially harming either of you or siblings or himself?
I could tell you stories that would make you laugh, stories that would make you.
To make you cry?
Yeah.
Make me
Right.
cry, yeah.
So he would, one thing he was fascinated with water. Mm-hmm. And he would get a hose, and he'd call it the happy hose, and everything all over the place. And so, and then there were times when he would go into the washroom, and we'd go upstairs the washroom, and he'd turn on the water, and we'd end up the whole house is flooded.
Oh, my.
But the worst thing was head banging. He would head bang his, really, really hard, and you could be sitting right next to him and try to, and all of a sudden he would start doing that. You could, and as I said, I'd have to grab him and try to restrain him, and I could wrestle him for like about 30 minutes. With
Very strong.
Just trying to restrain him. I had him kick out windshields in the car.
Wow.
So, but the headbanging was really, really bad.
And this is not because Marty's a bad guy or misbehaving. It's he had really no control over this himself, and certainly not tied to anything you did or didn't do. I gotta imagine that you had a feeling of just helplessness, of like, what what do you do? Right.
So when he came to Little City, people said, well, didn't you feel, sad? Well, yeah, we felt sad, but we were so relieved that there was a place for him. It was, because otherwise it was, constant all day, all night. You didn't know what you'd get up in the middle of the night.
24/7 care.
Yeah.
Right.
For those listening, sometimes when you hear a story like this, there is that saying that is so true, and I'll say it and say it again, is if you met one person who has autism, then you met one person who has autism. And Marty's certainly on that autism spectrum, and that spectrum is so wide. Sometimes you hear about folks who are highly independent, who have autism, who are able to do a lot of things that most typically developing people can do. And then you have someone who that might be where Marty is on the spectrum, where he does require 24-hour care to just keep himself safe and making sure that he can gain skills and to do activities of daily living.
Right.
So I guess to backtrack a little bit, like how did you find Little City? Like how did you hear of us and how did that happen?
Through a friend.
Through a friend. And then you can't just come to Little City and say, hey, take me. So you have to be on the PUNS list. His case was severe, and I guess it advanced rapidly, you know.
What was
and they gave us the alternative one. They said, would you rather have in-home services or residential service? I said, there was no question. Residential. In-home services may be a solution for some, but it wasn't for us. It wasn't for Marty. It was,
Right.
you know.
And community alternatives put in, the
that's
information for the state. And
Right.
So they did the assessment and the referrals to Little City.
right.
So, I mean, I think it's important for people to know about the PUNS list. I've met a lot of people who have no idea that there is such a thing as a PUNS list.
Do you want to describe more about what is this PUNS list? I mean, I think I know the acronym. It's like prioritization of urgent need of services.
I believe
It's
that's
the
correct.
state's waiting list. Do you want to talk more about that? Just if there's a family out there that's wondering, like, what do I even do?
Counties. It seems like it's an agency in the counties.
They've changed names over the years, individual service coordinating agencies, and everywhere in the state, and we're talking about Illinois here specifically, there is an organization that covers every geographic region of the state of Illinois. And it sounds like yours was Community Alternatives Unlimited, CAU.
Yeah.
That's like they cover a large part of Chicago and the surrounding areas. So reaching out to your local individual service coordinating agency, or they might call them PASS agencies, pre-assessment screening services is another name that may be used. That is the first step, is reaching out to those organizations to even start the assessment to get on the state waiting list. So I got to imagine, especially, we're talking, was this 30 years ago? 20?
Mid 90s, right? He'll be 37. He's 36.
26 years ago.
Okay, so 26 years ago, the internet, all these technologies, how did you like navigate a situation? Whereas today you could plug some of this into a Google search.
I think,
Yeah.
first of all, what was the Park District?
That was the Park District, yeah.
Sent us to the school. The school
Yeah.
would help us. Our school district found that they couldn't really serve his needs, but they were very willing to help us try to find other places. He went through a couple of different schools.
I recall something that you said. The internet really wasn't, as today. And I had boxes of paperwork from different agencies, from the doctors, from this, from that. Yeah, it was like piecemeal. Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Glad
Wow.
to get rid of those boxes.
One thing that we spearheaded here at Little City through a very generous grant through the Coleman Foundation is we created a website called IDD Navigator that will spotlight at some point in our podcast here. That is a free website for families to access resources and determine where, based on their zip code, who they can contact. Because it is trying to going through a maze to just find who's the right person to contact to access services. So that's something to be continued for a future podcast, IDD Navigator, but it is live right now. So certainly IDDnavigator.org. Marty arrives at Little City. What was that like as parents, the day you brought Marty here and drove home?
And we had several visits before
Okay.
he came here, and he got to know one of the workers here. And by the way, all the workers, everybody we've ever met at Little City has been beyond great. So he got
Amazing.
to know him, and so then he came, and we had decided that we would leave him there for 30 days because so he could adjust and get used to it. So.
So it was like a trial visit in a sense
Well, no,
originally,
it wasn't a trial. It was, he was going to be here. And
Okay.
We presume permanently, and so we went home, and we were kind of relieved, very thankful that we had found such a place at Little City. Anything else?
We were very sad I remember when we dropped him off.
It's like bringing a kid to college, way different.
And we had to at least that's the way I thought of
Yeah.
it, is it's just he's not that far away, or 30 minutes away, and it's like sending a kid to school. And that's how I had to think of it, because very difficult.
We were directed to, as I said earlier, places in Wisconsin, Kansas, Boston, none of those were really.
So is this mixed bag of feelings of being so grateful that you've finally found a service that could help support Marty.
Right.
At the same time, he's not in your home, and part of you is missing from your day-to-day routine and experience of having him with you.
Right. And it was good to know that we're a half hour away. And, yep. He comes home, we visit him regularly, all the time now. We used to have him come home a lot, but we couldn't keep him overnight because we didn't know.
We didn't get to sleep.
We didn't know what to do.
But he really enjoyed being here too, I recall, because he was a waterman at the time. In the home he was at, they had a water fountain, and he was like in his glories. That water fountain.
He loved water.
Yeah. But they were very, very nice. Many of the participants in his home at the time was on campus. The children's homes are on campus, and they were aging out. So he was the baby. They called him the baby. The staff everybody called him the baby. But it was a very positive experience, which was good.
And at that point in time, there were almost 100 people, 100 kids living on campus.
Wow.
And, in the homes on campus, and there were about, I think, 10 to a home. So
Wow.
it was kind of crowded. I think he had a roommate.
Now he lives in a community integrated living arrangement. For
Right.
those that don't know what that is, SILA for short. A group home. Yeah, the formal title is community integrated living arrangement, but it is a group home for adults. Do you want to talk a little bit about, how has he grown from a skill perspective, socially, emotionally, daily living activities?
Well, we've had to accept that Marty's going to be what Marty is. He's never going to be, an engineer or an author or anything. Still, very, very limited in his vocabulary, but he's able to function. He understands most everything. He takes direction. So in the group home lately, we've seen a lot of improvement in the activities involved in the group home. They're going to go to a baseball game, I think, this week. They went to some outdoor concerts, bowling. This is the group home. This is the activities above and beyond what he experiences in the day program here at Little City.
In addition to,
Yep.
and even the day program has really been very positive. They're getting out too. They go to museums or zoos. They're doing different things, which is wonderful, because they need to be out and not just
Be in the
locked up
same
a
room. Yeah.
Right.
He'll do a lot of things with the group that he won't do on his own.
Yeah, or with us.
Right. Right. Now, when you mention day program, because maybe someone listening might not know, what is a day program, but essentially, Marty lives in a group home setting with other adults, and then he goes somewhere during the day where they will have a whole set of activities and schedules and things that they do, including community engagement activities. It goes to how can every individual we support have a meaningful day that has some sort of fulfillment? Because, if we look at our own lives, at least for myself, at the end of the day, I want to feel fulfilled.
Right.
Some way, whatever that means for me, having the feeling of I did something today, I can say, okay, that was worth that day. That's our hope for every person that we support at Little City. As we go into your journey, you have a lot of experience, knowledge, and expertise in navigating systems, challenges. What advice would you give to a parent that may have a loved one who has an intellectual or developmental disability?
Well, I would say, depending on their age, if they're preschool, I'd get involved with the local school district, have them evaluated, seek out proper therapy, speech therapies, occupational therapy. A lot available now that wasn't then. Applied behavioral analysis that didn't exist, and to be an advocate, to be involved. When you go to the school board, as I said, don't be intimidated by a panel of professionals who I would say all have good intentions, but you know, the reality may be somewhere else as far as the needs of their child. So I would say you want to intervene early.
I would just add, don't think you're going to fix it by yourself, because that's not going to happen. Your child may improve dramatically, but it's through the help of others. So seek other professionals in their direction.
Well, it sounds like, well, one, you both gave some excellent advice about advocacy and to not give up, not feel intimidated when going to whether it be IEP meetings, individual education plan meetings, and truly advocate for your loved one. I think the other part that I heard from you both is that if someone has a loved one who has autism or an intellectual and developmental disability, is that they're not alone. Is that to your point, Betty? Like, you don't have to solve it all on your own.
Right.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
I think that's what I heard from you both.
Yes.
Like the powerful part of like the undertone is you're not alone.
No.
There's other families that have been through what you're going through. And, at Little City, that is our hope too, is helping even pair families up to share with each other, because only you know your experience. If someone else is going through somewhat similar experience, there's nothing more powerful from two families sharing their experiences with each other, because they know and they lived it. And you might have family or friends that try to understand it, but they'll never be able to truly walk in the shoes that you walked in and experience what you did.
What Little City does for people when you start out with, for instance, the the adoption from foster care, adoption where, families are going to be adopting, or taking into their home as a foster parent, somebody with a disability. So how amazing is that somebody would take on that? And then you have children, or now we're talking about preschool, looking into that, early intervention. Then we have the school, and then we have adults, and we have old people. So we have young people, old people, school people, people who live at home and come to Little City for day programs. It's kind of an overwhelming, complicated organization.
The whole gamut of services.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as I alluded to earlier, there's people who have somebody at home, and they don't know how to handle them. They don't even know that somebody like Little City has day services for them. And they don't know how about getting into it. And then you have people who are, as I said earlier, who are aging, and they don't know. They're worried about what's going to happen to their loved one when they're no longer there to take care of them. So
It's all possible because of our incredible team.
right.
It's just
Right.
truly, it's what it comes down to, is our
The
team is amazing.
incredible.
They are.
Yep.
I can't say
Yeah.
that enough.
From the top to the bottom,
Yeah. Well, thank you, and we'll certainly pass it on to our team. One thing that I've truly admired about you both is your ability to spread our mission at Little City and really get others involved. And so folks who may not even have loved ones who have disabilities, through your extensive, I'll just say, fundraising efforts. When it comes to our events such as our Hero Walk, you both hold the title for the most funds raised every year for this annual event. We have one coming up here in September, which is usually when this walk is. How do you go about motivating, getting folks to really buy into a mission if they don't have loved ones who have disabilities? What's your strategy, Gil and Betty?
We got to think about that.
We formed a team, Marty's Marauders. That's the name of the
Okay.
of the team, and then we developed a message that was personal to us, personal to Marty, to explain to people why this is important to us. And it's not real long. And then we take the link and we share it with people. And
Lots of people.
lots of people. And I've had people I went to grammar school with who, I had one, or high school with. I haven't seen one guy. I didn't even go to high school with him. We went to a different high school. He lived in the same neighborhood. He lives in Oregon. I haven't seen him since 1965 when we went and joined the Air Force. But he's made a contribution. Another woman I went to grammar
Unreal.
school with, she contributes. I go through my contacts. I say my friends, my relatives, my enemies.
And each group donates, even your enemies.
So I send an email to all the people. Everybody has a contact list. Before they had a Rolodex, now they get a contact list, and you send it to them. And yes, please support our cause. Donations, big or small,
Small is
are accepted. It's a very easy way to ask people to participate. It's you don't have to confront them, talk to them, ask them. They do, they don't,
Some show up at the walk and they always have a positive experience. And they're like, tell me about it next year. And like Gil said, or Rich, no, small or large donation, whatever, you're getting the word out and people get to know what Little City is. And they tend to, come back for more, which is wonderful.
I think if people tend to walk, they'll be moved because they interact with the people we serve, who are there and are happy. The people are happy.
Very positive.
It's something that they can't. The person participating in the walk doesn't get that opportunity very often.
Right. Well, and it sounds like your initial strategy is making the connection that Marty's a real person and you're a real family, and every dollar does help with our mission when we're a nonprofit, a 501c3 tax status. Is that I think many folks don't know is that it's because of those charitable contributions, even if it's $1 or even if it's $5, does add up and go a long way, because majority of our services, the way our organization's funded through state funding, does not cover the above and beyond. It does not cover the additional types of activities that, whether it be Marty or anyone that's going on, such as like music therapies and additional therapies that we provide and we think are essential to everyone's growth. Right. That's all made possible because of charitable contributions. That's not coming from state funding. So your fundraising efforts over the years have truly made a profound impact, not just on Marty, of course, but on all the individuals we're serving, because we're able to do creative activities and engagements or outings out in the community with folks that we would never be able to do without your support. So it is really a thank you, Gil and Betty, for your advocacy and you getting the word out to share the profoundness of our mission.
We owe so much to all the people who started Little City because there was nothing there. There was land out here, Palatine, 56 acres. There was nothing here. There was no state governmental support. People had to do it themselves.
Well, that's what I love about talking with you both is you're not the founding families of Little City because Little City was founded by a group of families who didn't want their loved ones going to state institutions. So they created what they call now Little City and purchased a plot of land that it is 56 acres, and now we're far beyond that land and out in the community and have multiple sites. That said, you both, Betty and Gil, are carrying that torch from those founding families. And that's what's exciting about talking with both of you is that the legacy moves on. It still lives, and you are still out there advocating, joining us on this podcast, spreading the message. We hope that you can even share this with your enemies, Gil, your friends, your friends and family. So that said,
Even if they're enemy, they're not gonna. They can't be that much of an enemy if I have their email.
that's very true.
They're not gonna attack me because they asked me to take a little city walk.
Oh, that's so true. It's so true. Final question for you both. Is there any final words that you want to share with our listeners?
Well, I would just say support the hero up just for the starters.
Okay.
And if you have it, the Little City's prepared a very nice message that you can send out. You don't have to create anything personal, special for you, and spread the word. That this is something. I think we could have maybe 1,000 people participating in the walk, and it's a person-to-person type marketing campaign. Peer-to-peer, I think, is the marketing term they use. So spread the word. We're a great organization. We're so thankful for everything Little City's done for us. But it's there's no guarantees in life, so we've got to go out and ask people for help.
Right.
And the number one reason people don't give is because they're not asked.
Because no one
they're not
asked. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well said, Gil.
Right.
Well said. Did you have anything, Betty, that you wanted to add?
No, I think I'm okay. I just get too emotional.
I truly appreciate you both coming by, sharing your story. I firmly believe your story will make an impact for others to hear, other families to hear, supporters to hear not only just your journey, your struggles, challenges, triumphs, and ultimately passing on the legacy of this mission of Little City. So thank you, Gil. Thank you, Betty. Your voices are big at Little City. Every voice matters, and your story helps shape a more compassionate and inclusive world. Stay tuned for more voices, more stories, and more meaning. Visit us on our website at littlecity.org. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We're always looking for others to join our mission and share their time, talent, and treasure. Thank you for joining Little City Big Voices.
Little City is a nonprofit, for-purpose organization operating for more than 65 years, serving children and adults with autism, intellectual and developmental disabilities, and those experiencing mental health challenges. We offer services in Chicago and the surrounding suburbs, with our main service area located in Palatine, Illinois. We provide residential living arrangement services for children and adults, a therapeutic day school, adult community enrichment and day services, recreational services including amazing arts, horticulture, and special recreation services, employment services, foster care and adoption, and community mental health services. Visit littlecity.org for more information.